Mr. Ambassador, great to be with you today. I appreciate you staying around for this hearing that's extended a while. Want to reiterate many of my colleagues' emphasis on Trade Promotion Authority. I've been very encouraged that you and the administration continue to indicate that you're going to be seeking Trade Promotion Authority and do whatever it takes to earn bipartisan support for that effort. And please let us know how it could be helpful in that regard. With respect to the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations, I have a specific concern, and it pertains to a sector very important to my home state of Indiana. Broadly, it's the life sciences field, but that includes pharmaceuticals and medical devices. And as you negotiate with Japan in particular, but also many of the other countries that are parties to Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, transparency and concern about fair reimbursement is a major issue, especially seeing as a number of these countries have national health systems that are very different from our own. I just want to make sure that all parties, businesses as well as consumers, understand that their decisions about reimbursement for pharmaceuticals and medical devices are made on the merits, according to optimizing healthcare outcomes and nothing else. Could you speak to this matter, please, and specifically indicate whether the Japanese are being helpful?
Well, we have been proposing something called a transparency index to promote the kind of transparency and due process that we have here in the United States under U.S. law in something called the National Coverage Determination under Medicare, where an individual can make an appeal to have a medical device covered under insurance. It doesn't determine the level of reimbursement. It is about making sure that there is fairness and due process, and it doesn't have any effect in our country because it's already part of U.S. law, and doesn't have any effect on Veterans Affairs or Medicare or Medicaid or anything of that sort. But we do think this is a helpful step towards greater regulatory transparency, and it's something we've been promoting with the other countries. We don't yet have a full agreement on that by other countries, and I'll have to think through what Japan's position is on it. I'm happy to get back to you on that. But it is something that we think would help promote greater transparency and ultimately help ensure that life-saving technologies make their way to the patients who need them around the region.
Thank you for that information. The other concern I have relates to high-level intellectual property protection, the establishment of those high-level standards, but also the enforcement, which was, you just spoke a bit to that. Specifically Canada, there's been some real challenges in how Canada has been dealing with our patents. The manner in which their courts have dealt with them has been inconsistent, at least according to our country's reading, inconsistent with the TRIPS intellectual property agreement to which both Canada and the United States are signatories. The so-called utility or usefulness standard is something that their courts are supposed to follow. Instead, they seem to be deviating from that, requiring our pharmaceutical companies and others to provide them with evidence that seems more appropriate to regulatory development. And they're also not considering evidence after a patent application has been filed. Perhaps you could speak to what USTR and others are doing to address Canada's behavior in this area.
We have engaged with our Canadian counterparts for some time on this. We've raised it directly with them. It is now the subject of litigation, and I think as a result, the Canadian authorities are waiting to see what happens as a result of that litigation before determining what, if any, action they feel is appropriate.
Okay. Is there anything else that we as members of Congress, I have but roughly 50 seconds left, can be doing to help you get broader support within Congress for Trade Promotion Authority so that we can ensure that the standards that are struck in this agreement are as high as possible, that they protect our workers and also open up foreign markets?
Well, I think the kind of discussions we're having today, the executive session we had the other day, I think these are immensely helpful in terms of generating support within Congress to understand what's at stake for the U.S. economy, for U.S. workers and businesses, particularly small and medium-sized businesses, what the alternatives are, what happens if we're not there protecting workers and American jobs, if we're not there leveling the playing field in a fair way if we're not the ones setting the rules of the road and ceding that to others. And so I think this committee, of course, has a privileged position in this, has always been closer to these trade agreements than any other committee, and my hope would be to be able to work with all of you to help develop a broader understanding of that throughout the Congress.
Well, we'll keep doing our part. Thank you. I yield back.